Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're breaking down a powerful quote by Philip Stanhope. Advice is seldom welcome, and those who want it the most always like it the least. Sounds interesting, right? But what does it really mean? Why do people often reject advice, even when they need it the most? And how can we give or receive advice in a way that actually helps? Stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll understand why people resist advice, how to handle criticism, and how to actually benefit from guidance. Let's get started. What does this quote really mean? Philip Stanhope, also known as the 4th Earl of Chesterfield, was famous for his wisdom on human nature. When he said, "Advice is seldom welcome, and those who want it the most always like it the least," he was pointing out something we all experience. Think about it. Most of the time when someone gives us advice, especially when it's about something we're struggling with, we don't want to hear it. Even if it's helpful, it can feel like a personal attack. Why? Because advice forces us to face uncomfortable truths. It reminds us of our mistakes, our weaknesses, the things we need to change. And let's be honest, change is hard. Ironically, the people who need advice the most, those making bad decisions, struggling, or stuck in bad habits, are often the ones who dislike hearing it. Their ego gets in the way. Instead of accepting the advice, they get defensive or ignore it. Let's make this clearer with some real-life examples. Example 1. The struggling student. Imagine a college student named Jake. He's always procrastinating, skipping study sessions, and failing his exams. His friend Sarah sees what's happening and says, "Hey, maybe you should start planning your study time better. Try making a schedule, it'll help." Now, if Jake were open-minded, he'd think, that's actually a good idea. Maybe I should try it. But instead, he reacts like this. "Ugh, you sound like my mom. I don't need a schedule. I just study in my own way. It's not my fault. These exams are just too hard." He gets defensive. He dismisses the advice, even though it could help him. Why? Because deep down, he knows he needs to change, but admitting that feels uncomfortable. A few months later, Jake is still struggling. Meanwhile, Sarah, who follows her own advice, is passing her classes easily. This is exactly what Stanhope's quote is talking about. Jake needs the advice the most, but he likes it the least. Example 2. The friend who won't listen. Now let's take another example, relationships. Imagine Emma has a friend, Lisa, who's in a toxic relationship. Her boyfriend disrespects her, doesn't value her, and makes her unhappy. Emma, as a good friend, says, "Lisa, I think you deserve better. Maybe you should reconsider this relationship." Now, Lisa has 2 choices. 1, take the advice, reflect on it, and make a change. 2, get upset, ignore the advice, and defend her boyfriend. Sadly, most people in Lisa's situation react like this. "You don't understand. He's not that bad. You're just jealous because you're single. Stay out of my business." Why? Because deep down, she knows there's a problem. But hearing it from someone else, that makes it real. And instead of facing that truth, she rejects the advice, even though she's the one who needs it most. A year later, Lisa is still in the same unhealthy relationship. Meanwhile, Emma has moved on with her life. Again, this is the power of the quote in action. Advice, even when it's helpful, often isn't welcome, especially by those who need it most. So, why does this happen? Here are 3 main reasons. 1, ego and pride. Nobody likes to feel like they're wrong or being told what to do. Advice can feel like criticism, even when it's meant to help. 2, fear of change. Change is hard. Admitting we need to change means admitting we're not perfect, and many people would rather stay in their comfort zone, even if it's hurting them. 3, the way advice is given. Sometimes advice is delivered in a way that sounds judgmental or harsh. Instead of feeling helped, the person feels attacked. How can you handle advice better? So, how can we be the kind of person who actually benefits from advice? Here are 3 key steps. 1. Listen before reacting. When someone gives you advice, instead of getting defensive, pause and think, is there some truth in this? Even if you don't like the way they said it, ask yourself, can this actually help me? Sometimes the most uncomfortable advice is the most valuable. 2. Separate your feelings from the message. It's natural to feel offended when someone criticizes us, but instead of focusing on your emotions, focus on the message. For example, if your boss says, you need to manage your time better, don't take it personally. Instead, think, okay, maybe I do need to improve my time management. 3. Ask for advice the right way. If you're struggling with something, seek advice from the right people. And when they give it to you, be open. For example, if you're struggling in business, don't just complain. Ask a successful entrepreneur for advice. And when they give it to you, actually listen. How to give advice without being ignored. Now, what if you want to help someone, but they don't want to listen? Here's how to make your advice more effective. 1. Don't force it. If someone isn't ready to hear advice, pushing it will just make them defensive. Sometimes they need to realize the problem on their own. 2. Use questions instead of direct advice. Instead of saying, you need to break up with him, try, are you truly happy in this relationship? This makes them reflect instead of feeling attacked. 3. Lead by example. Instead of just giving advice, show results. People are more likely to listen to someone who practices what they preach. So what's the lesson here? Advice is powerful, but only if we're willing to listen. If we reject every piece of advice that makes us uncomfortable, we miss out on opportunities to grow. The next time someone gives you advice, instead of pushing it away, pause and think, could this actually help me? And if you're giving advice, remember, people don't like feeling judged. Approach them with understanding, not criticism. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever ignored advice and later realized it was right? Or have you given advice that someone completely ignored? Let's talk about it in the comments. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Thanks for watching. And remember, the right advice can change your life, but only if you're open to it. See you in the next video.